So let's take a look at the non-repainting version of the bands that I said I would have out. It's been a lot of work and I've had lots of distractions, having family, or I should say relatives, affected by the fires in California, that their situation is finally getting somewhat stable. But anyhow, um, these are the non-repainting version of the bands. I have the base code pretty much all done to my liking. There will be vertical signals at the cross points, just like our other set of bands. So when we have a crossing point of fast bands coming back inside the main bands, we would get signals. I'm also going to mark candles that are back in alignment with price moving in direction of the bands, like you can see here. So if I have any reversal candle back in the direction, you'll be able to see those. But all the crossing points, like, there's a buy signal there, there's a short signal, there was a sell, there was a buy, there was a buy, there was a sell. So anytime the fast bands go outside, remember the bands, both sets of bands are completely adjustable. So this just happens to be where I have them set right now. And these are non-repainting. So our first set of bands has some what I call fractional recalculating. So about 1/7 of the recalculation of like an old school TMA that everybody seemed to used to use in FX back in the day. So it recalculates a little bit, but I like that for the way I use it. And I see everybody's been using it. For those that don't get it and just absolutely got to have the non-repainting, well, that's fine. We're putting it in iGrid Pack 2, which I can now get ready to launch because I have the band plot and the math in it and everything kind of where I'm going to leave it for now. So let's go make sure. And how do you verify whether bands recalculate or not when you're tracking something? So again, if you have any questions, info@gridalgo.com. Let's go. We're on a grid bars 19. Let's go down to a really low time frame, like really low. Let's go down to something like a 7. I don't need 15 days back. We'll go about 5 days back, and we'll hit OK. Okay, so now we're on a super low time frame that I would never use for trading myself personally. But now let me show you the exercise to verify on live feed. I'm not talking about when you reload it with historical data, which is, not exactly what happened live. Let's take a line segment on the main bands and let's color a line indicator and overlay it exactly on top of the bands, kind of in the same area. And then we'll make sure several bars later that the bands are exactly where my yellow lines are that I just drew. Come on, yellow line, cooperate. Okay, so that one's pretty overlaid. That one, let's get it right there. Now remember, on the current organic bar, the line segment doesn't plot till the bar close, but you can see what I'm talking about. So keep watching those main bands, and the faster bands are the same set of bands, just set at different speed. And you can see there is absolutely no recalculation backwards of the bands. That's huge, because I'm the first one that ever built non-recalculating bands, adaptive price bands, in NinjaTrader way back in 2008. And I've continued to work on them and perfect them and try different types of math since. So there you have it. There is a set of non-recalculating bands, and you can keep seeing that it's auto-adapting as it's supposed to sudden changes in price action. And you can see the backward prior plot to the bands is not changing. So anyhow, and now let's go draw another little line segment so you can see that these are fixed plot. Absolutely no way in hell are these recalculating, period. I don't care what anybody says. If you think these are recalculating, you don't know what recalculating and repainting means. Those babies are fixed, lock, plot, bar close by bar close. So the only segment as each bar closes, when a bar closes, you get the next segment, fixed plot, bar close, fixed plot, and so on. There's no backwardization recalculation going on at all. Done. So resolve that for once and for all. I used to love how they recalculate. Yeah, one type of bands do, not these. These bad boys do not at all recalculate, repaint, or whatever you want to call it. Recalculation is the proper term. Repaint is the street level slang term. So there's absolutely zero code in the indicator that you would need to allow these bands to do a recalculation. So also see how when we get candles that are closing counter to the move, ones with wicks, you'll get some coloration of those saying, hey, you're getting a candlestick close back in alignment, or I shouldn't say in alignment, but in a potential mean reversion. So it's kind of giving you a heads up that you might be getting ready for a hook of the bands, of the fast bands, and then the eventual cross. So if you're getting a hook on the bands and price is coming back on through, you could throw in a little liquidity at the cross. You could throw on some more, or however you want to do it. Totally up to you. You could draw a line and say, okay, if I see the price cross below there, I'm going to put a sell limit in, to get triggered in, however you want to do it. The nice thing is once you get settings dialed in on the main bands and the fast bands to dial it in to your specific instrument and time frame, what I always like to do is I like to have no more than 5% of all price candlestick action outside of the main bands. That's what I always do. I always adjust my bands so I have no more than, out of all the candles that played out in, let's say, a 5-day period of trading, I only want to see 5% or less of those candles. And if I want to go down to 3%, I can widen these bands a bit. That's all in the settings for the bands. I can set the deviation of the main bands and the fast bands, and I can set the responsiveness. How responsive are the main bands to price? How responsive are the fast bands, and so on. So all of that is completely adjustable. So then in iGrid Pack 2, you have the dual bands that have some fractional recalculation. Now in the non-recalculating version, and I'm not sure, I think I'm going to call it the dual bands indicator for the iGrid Pack 2. That will then be, the name of it, and it'll be in the iGrid Pack 2. So anyhow, there you have it. That's a very fast, super fast setting on a super low time frame that I'd never use. But I wanted just you to be able to see candlesticks that are moving rapidly, creating the bands to move a lot at each bar close. So nothing before recalculates or shifts. So there you have it. I'm going to get these out this week to the iGrid group. Thank you, everybody, for all your support and all the great feedback. We're going to have outputs on these again for when we're getting the crossing points and the band positioning, so you can tie those into Algo Studio Pro from the Trade Devils group or any of the other third-party tools you might use to take signals, or I should say signals and or outputs from an indicator, and then tie them into custom fully automated trading that you build on your end using the logic of a tool like Algo Studio Pro, which is just fantastic. So you don't have to go build a NinjaTrader strategy. You can take the dual bands indicator, connect it to your Algo Studio Pro from the Trade Devils group, fantastic tool, and go create instantly your own different sets of fully automated trading packages tied to various instruments and time frames using the dual bands, whether it's dual bands the first one, the iGrid bands, or now this second one that does not recalculate, called the iGrid dual bands. There you have it, guys. If you have any questions, let me know. info@gridalgo.com.